How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to VoroMotors. I'm AJ Hart, here today with a new guide to modify your ride. That's right, it's something new today. Today we're going to be taking the EMOVE Cruiser and replacing the handlebars on it with a carbon fiber handlebar, which is a little bit lighter and a little bit differently shaped, but most importantly, it's a much wider grip, which I like because I like to have a little bit of an open grab when I'm on the scooters, and the Cruiser normally comes with a little bit of a narrow grip. So if you're also looking for a little bit of a wider thing and you don't mind losing the ability to fold those handlebars down, follow along with this video. It's going to be a breeze to get this done. I'm going to be doing this job with a couple accessories that we sell from our store online, which you can find in the description down below. I'll be using the RaceFace stem adapter, and I'll be using the GUB carbon fiber handlebar. Getting this job taken care of is pretty simple. It's really just a lot of unscrewing and rescrewing things, with the exception of actually doing the grunt work to remove the T-bar stem. But worry not, it's pretty simple. I'm gonna go ahead and show you every step of the way. Let's jump into it. Before we can do anything to the handlebars, we need to get our grips off first. To do that, I'm gonna use this air compressor trick. Just put the nozzle against the ends and push the handlebars right off. Be careful of the blowback though. Now we need to remove all the pieces of the cockpit, because we will be putting all of those onto the next set of handlebars. So let's get behind the scooter and remove the brake first. We're going to loosen this screw so that we can slide the brake right off. In fact, all of these screws you're only going to loosen. You don't need to take any of them out. Next, we can loosen the bottom screws of the throttle and slide this off to the end. The voltmeter loosens up with the tiny screw on the back. Cool, the left side is free, so we can move on to the right side. This feels familiar. Just loosen the bottom bolt and pull it off. And the horn also is held on with this small screw on the rear. Alrighty, now our stem is naked. Let's get a bit closer for the next part. Unlock the stem and bring it up just a little bit. I'd say about a foot. Now we need to decapitate the T-bar. I'm going to use this pipe cutter to get the job done, but if you've got a power tool, by all means do that. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to use the same tool I did. I'm going to cut this at a point pretty close to the top of the stem so I don't lose too much height with this mod. Then I'll squeeze this down and start twisting the tool, squeezing it down again every little bit to continue cutting the stem rod. After about 6 minutes, I heard a pop and knew I could take the handlebars off. Beautiful! To clean it up, I brushed off the shavings. Now let's talk about what I'm going to use to make this replacement. I have here the RaceFace stem adapter, the GUB carbon handlebars, and the black GUB bicycle grips, all of which you can order from our store, which I have links to in the description down below. If you order the RaceFace adapter from us, you should also get this spacer. Remove that from the bag and you can drop that over our stem. Now let's open up this RaceFace bag. In here you'll find your stem adapter, an instruction booklet that you would need if you didn't have me, and a sticker that you can put on really whatever you want. Now the RaceFace has two ends, one side with 4 screws and one side with 2. The 2 screw side is the one that's going to go on our stem. When you put it on, just for the beauty, make sure that the RaceFace part is oriented so you can read it. Slide it down over the spacer. Alright, so it's on now, but it's still super loose. We need to decide on where to fasten this. So look down to your wheels and line up your adapter with the wheel. You should also be able to line it up with the stem, and it should be plenty accurate. In order to secure it, you'll tighten up those 2 screws on the back. Make sure you lift the adapter and make it flush with the stem so as not to lose height with this mod. Now tighten those screws down. Now we're ready to install that carbon handlebar. This will feed through the whole of the adapter here. So remove the 4 screws in front and drop the cover plate. Then we can take our carbon handlebar and slide it into the housing. Make sure that when you do this, you have the word GUB on the left side and sitting upright. Now we can put the plate back over it and tighten those 4 screws down. Heads up though, don't tighten them down all the way. We still want to be able to move the handlebars with a little bit of force. It's going to make the job easier here in a bit. Now as you can see, these handlebars are much wider, which is amazing. But this makes the next step a bit more tedious. Our goal is to get our cockpit put all back together. So let's grab these cables and resit this all again. Let's start with the voltmeter and build out. As you can see, it can't quite reach the end of the bar, so we'll wiggle our bar to the other side and give us room to install here. When you do put it on, make sure the key is down and facing the deck. Then slide on the throttle, and lastly our brake. Make sure that it's the one that you could read from the deck side to ensure it's the front brake here. Now we can jiggle this handlebar to the opposing side and put our horn on. Tragically, the cable is a bit short to reach. These handlebars are really wide after all. So let's just unplug the horn. Then put it on our handlebar and reconnect the plug. Lastly, our rear brake needs put on. Now my cables were getting a little bit caught over to the voltmeter, and I thought that was what was keeping it from getting on easily, but it turns out that my issue was that I needed to loosen the brake bolt a bit more. And there we go, our cockpit is all built. Now we're just about ready to lock down and tighten that handlebar. But make sure that the curve that the handlebar naturally has is curving towards you as the rider. Now line up the center and tighten down all 4 of those front screws for reals this time. It's looking pretty dope now, but it does need grip still. Now I'm feeling a little bit adventurous, and I want to try some softer grips on these fancy new handlebars. So I'll be installing our GUB soft rubber bicycle grips. You can snag them in our store online if you'd like them as well. We need to put our grips on before we start locking down our cockpit, but trying to just wiggle these on can take far too much time and far too much work. So let's go get an air hose and put these grips on. Our air hose trick will work fundamentally the same as removing, but it's a little bit different with this setup. For starters, we need to remove the plug at the end of the new grips. Just squeeze and pry them out. Then we can sit our grip on the end of the bar. The way this trick works is that we use the air hose to build pressure and inflate the grip, making it easier to put on. But our carbon handlebar is hollow, so the air will just shoot out to the other side. To stop this, I've employed our technician's hand to hold the air in to give us the pressure we need. Now we can squeeze our grip around the nozzle, blast the air, and wiggle our grip onto the bar. Once it's just about all the way on, I'm going to twist and push it on a little bit more, then cover this end with that plug. Looks great. Now we're going to do the same process on the opposite side. Inflate, push, adjust to comfort, then cover with a plug. Now we can go back upstairs and secure our cockpit. I find it best if we start with the brake and just move across. Position your brake to where you think you'll find it the most comfortable and lock that down on the screw in the back. Then move your throttle out towards where your hand is. Again, adjust it to make sure that it will fit comfortably. Then tighten down those 2 screws in the front. The voltmeter can sit really wherever you think it would look nice, honestly. Just make sure you tighten it with the screw on the back. Moving across, I'm going to guesstimate that I want the horn right about here. I lock that down with the screw on the back, and I move on to the brake. Go ahead and lock that down with the same screw we've always been using. Now, as it turns out, I made the horn just a little bit too far away. So let's unlock that, adjust it, and lock it down again. Perfect. The last thing I think I want to highlight is that exposed stem top. We recommend that you cover that with some sort of sealant or with a plug, which we expect to be offering ourselves in the near future. Check the description for a link to that. I'll update it as soon as we offer one. And there we have it. Your handlebars have been swapped to this wider, more expansive style, and I think it looks pretty snazzy. So there you have it. Pretty easy enough job, and your handlebars are so much wider now, which is going to make a really nice sturdy ride next time you're going out. No more wobbles, no more quick whips. It's just a nice, easy ride, like you're on a bicycle with a wider grip. It's much nicer for cruising, in my opinion. Storage is going to be a little bit more difficult, but if you're making this mod, I'm sure you thought about that. If you're interested in doing this job, I would love to know why you're interested in doing it in the comments down below. If there's any changes that you would want to do, maybe a different part that you're swapping out for what we used, I'd love to know what parts you're using for your modifications in the comments down below as well. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and leave the video here today. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I hope that this video helps, and I hope you enjoy your ride.